Welcome to episode 2 of this Sports Gazette mini-series with me, Yasmin Ryder. Today we'll be exploring the topic of sport after pregnancy, and we'll be hearing from England Lacrosse captain Laura Merrifield.
Hi there, my name is Laura Merrifield and I am the current England captain for the 2022 World Cup team.
And Levi Moore, women's health physiotherapist.
My name is Levi Moore and I'm a pelvic health physiotherapist working in the NHS and private practice.
Both women have great perspectives and experiences to share on what I feel is a really fascinating and important topic to talk about. But firstly, let's find out from Laura how Team England fared at the World Championships earlier this month.
At the World Championships in Towson, we had a really hard-fought game against Australia in our bronze medal game, but we came out victorious and came home with a bronze medal.
But you don't make it to a World Championships overnight. Laura, can you tell us how you first got involved in lacrosse and your progression through the sport?
I was 11 years old when I first started to play lacrosse, and that was at school level, where I went to St George's, Harpenden, and I felt incredibly lucky that they played because they're one of the only state schools that currently have lacrosse in their programme. Going from there, I played at county level and regional level, where I luckily got picked up by the England lacrosse setup. I went on to their talent pathway, which was called Centex at the time, and then from there I got picked for the Under-19 World Cup, which was in 2007, and that was my first experience of a World Cup.
Fast forward to now, and the topic of conversation today, Laura and her partner had some very exciting news.
I found out that I was pregnant in 2019, in April, and that was just before one of our European Championships, but it was one of the most exciting things that I have ever experienced.
Did you have any misconceptions about pregnancy?
One of my big misconceptions about pregnancy was that returning to sport was going to be really easy, I think. I've always been a very fit person, really enjoyed training, and so I thought my body would be able just to come straight back into it, obviously increasing the amounts as you go, but I did think I'd find it easier to come back to participating in sport after having the baby.
And what were you most thankful for throughout your pregnancy?
I think I'm most thankful for my family's support and my husband's support. I think that in itself, if that wasn't there, then I think my journey would have been a lot harder. I'm also so thankful for my teammates in embracing a new element into our team anyway. There was no one else on the team for 2022 who had a child, so it was really nice that they fully embraced that experience too and made my training weekends so much fun. Even if I was missing her, that was incredibly important to me.
And Levi, what are those early weeks for mothers like post-birth?
Generally, the first 6 weeks is very hectic for mothers. This time is usually dedicated to bonding with your baby and allowing for tissues to heal. This is for both C-section and vaginal deliveries. The given additional stress and lack of sleep with a newborn can make the recovery to returning to exercise even longer. This is why having a good support network, including a medical team such as a physiotherapist and family and friends, can be really important in the early weeks.
And Laura, what was it like for you coming back after pregnancy?
Getting back to playing at the top level post-birth was definitely a tougher journey than I thought. I had a very supportive network around me, starting with our Team England physio, Sophia Bushfield. She was absolutely amazing and made sure that I came back gradually and what was correct for my body. I also had a fantastic strength and conditioning support from James Wild, who again, there was never any pressure to come back until I was ready to do so and at the pace that suited me personally. So that always felt really nice. There was never any pressure, but I always felt I could ask questions and made sure that I came back stronger than before.
Levi has very helpfully explained what the recovery period can look like for mothers from birth right through to returning to sport.
Gentle walking and pelvic floor rehabilitation can start in the early weeks postnatally. For the first 2 weeks, doing pelvic floor exercise and walking is a good start. From weeks 2 to 4, you can start core rehabilitation and basic bodyweight strength exercises. From weeks 4 to 6, low impact cycling and low impact exercise such as Pilates can take place. From 6 weeks, scar mobilisation, if you've had a C-section, weights and an increase in low impact exercise can happen. Generally, you can return to exercise, including running, at 12 weeks. However, everyone is very different, and it may take several months, if not around the 6 month mark, to return to impacts such as running.
And for you, Laura, what was one of the hardest things about your return to sport after pregnancy?
I think one of the hardest things about coming back from pregnancy and back to top match fitness was definitely the explosive step. But again, working with my strength and conditioning support, James Wild, he was amazing and made me follow a program which got that step back to even more powerful than it was before.
And Laura, what were some of your biggest worries about returning to lacrosse post-pregnancy?
My biggest worries about returning to sport post-pregnancy was probably that I wouldn't be able to reach the standard that I had previously. But again, with the support that the physio, S&C, teammates, everybody gave me, I felt that I was able to reach that level and absolutely loved this summer's full of lacrosse.
And Levi, could you just explain how important that recovery period is for new mums in enabling a safe return to sport?
Women need adequate time to heal and regain strength, particularly in the abdominal and pelvic floor muscles after pregnancy and delivery. Once the core and pelvic floor and specific muscle groups are strengthened, a graded approach to return to sport can happen. Return to sport takes a multidisciplinary approach with the expertise of S&C coaches, dietitians and physiotherapists.
Laura, can you offer any advice to new mums or mums-to-be who might be going through something similar to you?
My advice to other female athletes who have recently given birth and are on their journey back to high-level sport would be just to listen to your body. Everybody is completely different. Some people can come back really quickly. I found that a little bit more challenging, but I definitely listened to what was right for me, and I definitely came back stronger in the end. So yeah, definitely listen to your bodies and don't be worried if it takes a little bit longer than you thought.
And also you, Levi, what would your advice be?
I believe that all women postnatally should have a pelvic floor physiotherapy assessment. This period can often be the gateway to getting people back to exercise altogether. And the best way to do this would be by visiting your GP for an NHS referral or visiting the POGP, which specialises in pelvic health physiotherapists. You can search there. Another great tool or assessment would be visiting the Mummy MOT, where you can find a local physiotherapist that specialises in postnatal rehab. So yeah, that would be my take home, that everyone, no matter how sporty you are, whether you want to get back to being active with your children or you want to get back to elite sport, I think every woman postnatally would benefit from seeing a physio.
Lacrosse remains an amateur sport where players are not paid to play, so the transition back into the sport postpartum is noticeably more challenging. Other than the physical recovery post-birth, as discussed throughout this episode, financial support can be another significant barrier preventing women returning to elite sport. In a recent study by the British Journal of Sports Medicine, it explored the experiences of elite female athletes during pregnancy. It investigated the momentous decisions athletes need to make to navigate pregnancy alongside sport participation. The study concluded there's a clear lack of sport policy and practices that are inclusive and supportive of female athletes. Sporting governing bodies such as England Lacrosse should devise maternity policies to allow more female athletes to return to sport postpartum. Starting a family and being an elite athlete shouldn't be mutually exclusive. In support of this, UK Sport have stated that we're taking a more overt approach. We want new guidance to ensure female athletes and sports have the right resources at their disposal, so that mothers and mothers-to-be are confident they'll be fully supported. So finally, Laura, in your opinion, what do you think is preventing more female athletes from having a baby and then returning to sport?
I think there are a number of factors that either stop or impact other women from not being able to come back to competitive sport after having a baby. And I think the more we talk about our experience, the more it can give people confidence to seek help. There's so many physical changes happen to your body during that time, but I think it's not talked about enough, so it can seem a bit daunting or a bit scary. So I hope this podcast encourages people to talk a little bit more and seek that help that they require to get them back to participating in competitive sport.
To conclude episode 2 today, thank you Laura and Levi. Yasmin Ryder, Sports Gazette.